Joker stars Joaquin Phoenix and Robert De Niro and is directed by Todd Phillips. And this movie is the very first standalone movie that we've ever gotten that's just centered around the Joker. There's no Batman in the movie, there's no other DC villains or DC characters, superhero-wise in the movie. It's just centered around Arthur Fleck, played by Joaquin Phoenix, as the Joker. Well, guys, another anticipated movie for me is finally out in theaters, and I got to see it last night. As upon of recording this, I saw it the night before, and I wanted to do my video the night I came home, but after the movie, I wanted to sit and think about it a little bit to make sure my opinions were intact, to make sure that the next morning I woke up, I didn't have a different opinion, and oh shoot, I already recorded my video, so now I gotta do something to erase that. No, I wanted to make sure that all my thoughts were gathered together and I felt the way I felt. And really quickly, I'm not going to be talking about any of the controversy that this movie is gathering, mainly because I think it's unnecessary and stupid. I don't agree with most of what's going on about this movie, of what the media is posting about it, so I'm just not even going to touch on it. I'm just going to talk about the movie itself. So, let's talk about this movie, spoiler free, of course. So this movie centers around Arthur Fleck, played by Joaquin Phoenix. He is a street clown by day and trying to pursue a career in stand-up comedy. And this guy is just getting beaten down by everyone in Gotham, physically and mentally. He has this condition where he laughs uncontrollably during awkward situations. Remember that scene in the trailer where he's trying to make that little boy laugh? Well, followed right after that, he starts laughing uncontrollably, and he's basically, he has, I think they said in the movie he has brain damage, that whenever an awkward moment or he feels uncomfortable in any sort of way, he just laughs uncontrollably. And you can tell it bothers him. And this movie is just a slow burned character study on what happens when one day he makes a wrong decision and he just snaps. He is descended into madness and eventually becomes the Joker, the most iconic character or iconic villain in the DC universe. And a lot of people are saying this, and I very much agree with it. This movie is so grounded in reality. It's not your typical comic book movie. In fact, I wouldn't even call this a comic book movie. It's a character drama that's centered around a comic book character. But this is not your average comic book movie, and I think that's why some critics aren't really liking it all that much, besides the overreacting to the violence and all that. It's not something like a Marvel movie, I guess you could say. Even though I love the Marvel movies. I love the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it is very different than that. And it's something that I wasn't really expecting. I kind of knew what I might have gotten in the movie, but I was still surprised by this movie on such a different direction it took, something that I wasn't expecting, and I respect the hell out of the movie for that. And this movie is centrally focused on Joaquin Phoenix as Arthur Fleck, who eventually becomes the Joker. And everyone's saying this, and I was kind of expecting it, but he still blew me away. Joaquin Phoenix is absolutely mesmerizing in this movie. He is so good as the Joker. I prepared myself physically and mentally for everything that people were saying about him, and I was still surprised that this guy gave an amazing performance. He might even be my favorite Joker, my new favorite Joker. I'll have to sit on that a little bit, but I'm almost positive he's my new favorite Joker. I love Heath Ledger, and I love Jack Nicholson, and even Cesar Romero I really like. But Joaquin Phoenix gave me the Joker that I've always wanted to see, and a Joker I've always wanted to see a backstory on. And I can't imagine anyone else playing the Joker after seeing this movie now. And I've said before that this movie centrally focuses on Arthur Fleck. There is not a scene in this movie where he is not on screen. Even if there's the other side characters are in the movie, like Robert De Niro as the talk show host, Joaquin Phoenix is still in picture somewhere, and that's really cool. I can't remember a comic book movie, at least recently, that's done that, or really any movie recently that's done that. I know there's other movies that done that, but in terms of comic book movies, I can't remember a time where the central character is on screen for 100% of the movie. There's times where it cuts away to something else, but even when it cuts away, he's still in the scene. He's still in the environment that it cuts to. So the side characters, though, are interesting, particularly Robert De Niro. He's not in the movie that much, but he does a great job. All those side characters, especially even the girl that plays his girlfriend. If you've seen the movie, you know why I'm using quotes. They're great in the movie, but you can't help but not think to yourself that, you know, Joaquin Phoenix is there. He is in frame somewhere. He's in the scene somewhere. And you're just glued to him throughout the whole movie. And again, it all goes back to Joaquin Phoenix's performance and how fantastic it is. So on to the pros. This movie, I think, did everything it was trying to do. It did everything right. The movie is very dark. The movie is very depressing, and it owns up to that. The movie looks fantastic, and I've already mentioned Joaquin Phoenix's performance, so I'm not going to go too much into that. But I think what Todd Phillips did with the look of Gotham and the feel of it was so on point. The movie looks dirty and grim and dark and depressing. Like, you would not want to live here. And I guess, and that's the point of Gotham. It's such a bad city to live in that every time you see it on screen, you're just saying to yourself, I don't want to live there. And it did a good job of doing that. You feel dirty just watching it. And that's one of the strongest points, is when you can feel the environment around you. You can feel the dirtiness of the city, and you can feel the depressing and disturbing tone that's flowing over you. That's what this movie does very, very well. Some people might not like how dark and deep and disturbing this movie gets, and I can understand that. You know, if someone came to me and said I didn't like this movie because of that, I can understand that. It's definitely not a movie for everybody. As for cons, personally, I don't have any. I really don't have an issue with this movie. I thought I had an issue throughout the movie, and I'll try to say this as spoiler-free as I can. It revolved around the girl that plays the Joker's girlfriend. And I don't remember her name. I didn't look it up, but I know she's from Deadpool 2. And I had a problem with her throughout the movie. I wasn't quite sure what her character was trying to do. I know she's viewed as his girlfriend in the movie, but she wasn't developed all that much, and it kind of bothered me that certain things happened with her and Arthur Fleck throughout the whole movie. But then there's one scene that happens, and again, no spoiler, but as soon as that scene happened, I thought, everything makes sense now. Everything that this character was in the movie for, it makes perfect sense, and I'm on board with that, and it's brilliant. So I guess if I had to pick cons, it's that certain things throughout the movie didn't quite all add up at first, and it kind of bothered me a little bit, but then it all has a payoff. It all has a payoff towards the third act of the movie that makes you say to yourself, I see it now. I see the bigger picture, and I'm glad I stuck around and waited for it. Because a lot of people, when something happens in the movie that they are not sure of or they don't like, they tend to check out immediately. And, you know, there's nothing else that could fix that for them. But some movies say to you, not directly, but overall, the picture, it says to you, just hold on. We're getting to our point. We're trying to get you guys to pay attention so that, you know, the overall story is seen. And once the overall story in this movie I saw, all the little bits that annoyed me just didn't bother me anymore, and this became a basically flawless movie for me. I don't have any problems with this movie now that I've seen the overall picture. This movie's a masterpiece. I truly think that. So overall, I think this Joker origin movie is the best we've ever could have gotten. It's dark, it's depressing, it's disturbing. There's so much in this movie that's hard to watch, and you feel dirty watching some of that stuff, but that's the point of it. You know, if you're left disturbed or creeped out or scared, that's good with this type of movie, because that's the Joker. But again, this movie isn't for everybody. This is not your average comic book movie. It's a very weird movie in terms of the psychological stuff and the mental health that Arthur Fleck goes through. That's another thing I really like about it. The physical or the mental conditions that Joaquin Phoenix portrays in the movie was handled super well. And if he doesn't get an Oscar nomination for this, there will be riots in the streets. Okay, there probably won't be riots in the streets, but movie fans like me will be really upset with that. But in terms of psychological stuff that this movie does, I can understand why some people might not like this movie all that much, and it's completely understandable. For me, it didn't bother me, and for me, this was the Joker movie I've always wanted to see, and even at times I didn't know I wanted to see. And I'll say it with pride, Joker is Oscar worthy. I loved this movie so much. It's a slow burn to get to the overall picture, but it's worth the payoff for how great this movie is, how great Joaquin Phoenix is in this movie, and just everything. Everything, once it comes together, it is a masterpiece, and it is a work of art that it's refreshing to see in a comic book movie, because we're used to the extended universe stuff, and while Marvel's doing a good job at that, and DC's trying to get back into shape with that, it's nice to see a comic book movie that's just one movie. You know, I don't think there's any plans for a sequel, and honestly, I'll be fine with that. Just one movie. I miss those days of comic book movies where we're not trying to build a universe, we're not trying to set up the next sequel or set up a trilogy or anything like that. We want to tell our story in one movie, and that's that. If we don't get a sequel to this movie, or this movie doesn't tie into Robert Pattinson's Batman, I'll be fine with that. It's going to be sad to see because of how great Joaquin Phoenix was, but it's refreshing to see at the same time. So guys, when you see Joker, let me know what you thought about it in the comment section, and which actor is your favorite portrayal of the Joker. I'm going to call it, and I'm going to call Joaquin Phoenix. You know, he really surprised me. I'll always love Heath Ledger and Jack Nicholson, and even Cesar Romero, and of course Mark Hamill. But like I said earlier, Joaquin Phoenix gave me everything I wanted to see of the character. So whatever your thoughts on all that is, let me know in the comment section. And as always, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you're not subscribed, click right here, and I will see you guys next time.